If you spend any time on tech forums lately, you've probably noticed a trend. People are convinced their digital AI assistants have gotten lazier and more sluggish than they were 6 months ago. Engineers are uploading side-by-side screenshots proving the exact same prompt generates a visibly poorer response today. Meanwhile, usage caps that used to refresh every 5 hours are quietly stretching out to 8, and independent testers found week-over-week token limits suddenly slashed by up to 60%. Imagine signing up for an infinite electricity plan, plugging in your appliances, and then having your power shut off midweek because you hit a secret shifting cap. That is exactly how AI subscriptions operate right now. Shrinking usage limits represent only one part of the problem. The more aggressive downgrades are happening completely out of sight. This diagram shows a practice known as model routing. When you type a prompt, you expect to talk to the massive flagship model advertised at launch. In reality, your default assistant is frequently quietly swapped out for a smaller, cheaper, and less intelligent version to handle basic tasks. Redirecting traffic to these lighter, open-source models slashes a provider's operational costs by up to 95%. For an AI company bleeding cash, that massive discount is a necessary lifeline. Companies consistently deny their tools are getting dumber. They release highly controlled, optimized performance benchmarks to prove their AI is still operating at its peak. But those cherry-picked tests do not reflect the friction of the daily grind. This digital lobotomy is a deliberate financial strategy. It is the easiest lever a provider can pull to mask a catastrophic problem with their underlying math. This chart shows the economics of generative AI. You pay a $20 monthly subscription. The actual cost for a power user hovers around $180. That enormous gap is an illusion, completely subsidized by venture capitalist money. To understand where that cash goes, look at the physical infrastructure. Processing your text requires massive hardware, starting with NVIDIA H100 GPUs that cost up to $40,000 apiece. These chips draw massive amounts of power and generate intense heat. Server farms require hundreds of thousands of dollars in secondary industrial cooling infrastructure just to prevent the racks from melting into slag. Running all that hardware demands incredible amounts of energy. Individual data centers have grown so large, they are actively drawing as much power as 900,000 homes. All of this heavy steel, copper, and electricity is charged directly back to the balance sheet. Digital growth has hit an extremely expensive physical wall. The hardware bottleneck is accelerating as user behavior shifts toward agentic workflows, complex operations like deep research and background coding. This diagram shows how an agentic request operates. Ask an AI to fix a bug, and it silently spawns subtasks. It rereads files, writes drafts, and runs background tests, chewing through 10 to 100 times more compute power than a single text response. This explosive token consumption is destroying company margins. xAI is burning through $1 billion a month, while reports indicate Anthropic loses over $6 for every single dollar it brings in. Every prompt you type is negative revenue. In an environment where the product actively bankrupts the creator, secretly throttling the service is the only immediate defense these companies have. The zero interest rate era that allowed companies to absorb massive losses is over. Venture capitalists are looking at the math and aggressively demanding operational profitability. The $20 monthly fee served as a deliberate market-building exercise, designed to create absolute dependency on a heavily subsidized tool. Now that the dependence is there, the monetization phase begins. Those supposedly unlimited access plans are going to be quietly, permanently killed off. The tech industry playbook is moving on schedule. We are exiting the artificially cheap hook phase and entering the unavoidable squeeze. This chart shows the immediate market correction analysts project. Flagship consumer pricing will likely jump to $50 a month, strictly enforced by pay-as-you-go overage charges for heavy users. If you built your freelance workflow or small business on the promise of cheap, infinite intelligence, you face a harsh reality. You will either have to pay the true, unsubsidized cost of the infrastructure or abandon your AI automation entirely. These downgrades and limits signal that the era of the trillion-dollar AI subsidy has officially ended.